Are Locked On SEC, your daily podcast on the Southeastern Conference. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And what's up, everybody? Welcome into Locked On SEC. It's great to have you guys along. I'm Chris Gordy. Thanks for making Locked On SEC your first listen every day. And remember, Locked On SEC is free and available on all platforms, including YouTube and at LockedOnSEC.com. Let's jump into it. Let's go around the conference.
Boots out to the right. Takes the handoff. What a catch!
Around the conference.
And we start at Alabama as Nick Saban trying to get his team back on track after their loss to Tennessee over the weekend, and he's sending a message to his players. Nick Saban, talking with the media Monday, said, "We can't continue to tolerate guys that aren't doing the things they need to do to be successful. Nobody's entitled to a position. Everybody's earned the position that they're in by showing they have the capability and ability to do it on a consistent basis, and that's something that you have to continue to do." Saban then talked about the grind of the season. He said, "Look, we got to correct these mistakes we're having so they don't become issues in the future. Alabama is one of the most penalized teams in college football this season." Saban also has been criticized for the last couple of plays towards the end of the Tennessee game. Saban telling the media, "Look, the last 5 plays of the game, we didn't execute. We could talk about us not running the football, but we dropped the pass and the clock would be running and we would have been closer." After watching the film, this is kind of a collective loss by our team. I don't think we played the way we wanted to play. For sure. A lot of people think Alabama should have run the ball before trying to set up for that potential game-winning field goal by Will Reichert. If they missed it, you just go into overtime. Instead, they left 15 seconds on the clock, and those 15 seconds led to Hendon Hooker setting his team up for the game-winning field goal. Meanwhile, ESPN college football analyst Greg McElroy talking about his short Heisman list, and was asked if it was a knee-jerk reaction to put Hendon Hooker among his favorites for the Heisman. He said, "I don't think this is knee-jerk. He's been on the short list for the past few weeks. The performances we've seen from him almost every week, it's difficult to make a case against him." McElroy went on to say, "I probably consider 15 guys on a week-to-week basis." Hooker, of course, threw for almost 400 yards and 5 touchdowns in the win over Alabama on Saturday. McElroy, very complimentary of Hooker's entire performance, but said his poise during the dramatic final moments is what really stood out to him. He said, "That to me was his Heisman moment. That was guts. That was poise. That's what I'll remember the most about the performance of Hendon Hooker and the entire Tennessee football team in the win over Alabama." Josh Heupel held his regular Monday press conference on Monday, and he was talking about the Alabama game and was asked about his safety, Jalen McCullough, who did not play against Alabama after he was arrested on felony charges of aggravated assault earlier in the week. His status for the next couple weeks still uncertain. Last week, he maintained he was completely innocent. Josh Heupel said McCullough is not suspended. He said he's been around, just wasn't available for Saturday. Process still going on with him, and we'll see how that continues to play out here. Look forward to having him available very soon. Tennessee also announcing they have plans for the replacement of their missing goalposts that were removed, taken down after the post-game celebration on Saturday. Knoxville News reported that Tennessee has stored a disassembled backup set of goalposts under the student section in the southeast corner of Neyland Stadium. Since it was ordered in 1998, the last time fans tore down the goalpost, those backup goalposts will be installed ahead of this week's game against Tennessee Martin. The Vols plan to order a new set of reserve goalposts, estimated somewhere between $10,000 and $20,000 before installation. Josh Heupel was on SEC this morning on Monday. He said, "Look, if need be, I will pay for them to make sure that they're up on Saturday." But I think they have a plan. They have a couple of them ready to roll when we get there on Saturday. Meanwhile, Texas A&M, they're coming off their bye week, sitting at 3-3, kind of licking their wounds, wondering what could have happened had they been able to punch in that goal line play and beat Alabama just a couple of weeks ago. But on his media availability on Monday, Jimbo Fisher asked about his bye week. He said, "Look, we're looking forward to this week's practice. The off week came at a good time. We had some good practices, got back to our fundamental work, worked on some future opponents in South Carolina." So looking at the Gamecocks, very good football team, playing very well right now. They're 4-2, doing a great job in all 3 phases of what they're doing. South Carolina is always a very tough place to play, Jimbo said. It's a great atmosphere over there, great environment, especially being a night game. They'll be juiced and ready to go. We're going to need to bring our A game and be able to play well and finish out the second half of the season playing good football. As for his quarterback, Haynes King, he sustained a foot injury in the Alabama game. Fisher said, yeah, he's going, yeah. So we're all byproduct of the people around us and how we play, especially at quarterback. You got to play well around the quarterback for them to be able to function and do things. So Haynes King obviously played very well in an Alabama game, and it sounds like he is back healthy and ready to go for A&M in this game against South Carolina this weekend. As for Shane Beamer and the Gamecocks, they're gearing up for this game against A&M, and they had their bye week in Week 7. The Gamecocks have some extra time, 5-0 under Shane Beamer coming out of a bye week. Talking with the media this week, Shane Beamer said, I hope you just found some wood to knock on. Don't jinx us with that stat. The Gamecocks are fairly healthy at this point. According to Shane Beamer, everyone is likely to play except for 3 players, Corey Rucker, Terrell Dawkins, and Christian Beal-Smith. But Beamer said it's important for them not to overlook Texas A&M. He said they're a young team that continue to get better. They look like what you want a football team to look like. They're young in a lot of spots, playing a lot of true freshmen. I'm sure we'll see the best version of A&M coming in here on Saturday. Meanwhile, the Florida Gators coming off a tough loss to LSU down in the swamp. Khalil Jackson, player for the Vols, making headlines for the wrong reasons over the weekend. After the loss, the redshirt freshman wide receiver posted on social media some frustration, presumably about the game and his lack of playing time. Created a stir on social media, but on Monday he offered an apology on social media for his actions, releasing a statement through the school. You can see it on his social media. LSU dropped the Gators to 4-3 in Billy Napier's first season. As for LSU, Brian Kelly talked about having Keyshawn Boutte play really, really well for them last week and discussed the practice week leading up to the game where they named Boutte a captain. Brian Kelly said, first of all, you have to have your best players buy into the fact that we need to make some changes here in how we're doing things. I'm very proud of this entire football team, what we've asked them to do. They've done some really good things, but it's not good for our standard of excellence that was shown against a very good team in Tennessee. And so obviously bounced back with a big win at Florida. Now, Brian Kelly also went on to talk about this week's opponent in Ole Miss and Lane Kiffin. Brian Kelly has played Lane Kiffin before with when he was at Notre Dame, and Lane Kiffin was at USC. Kelly explained that offense has kind of evolved under Lane. He said, look, it's an offense that's been set up, obviously, to force the ball outside, but they have a quarterback now that can run it so effectively as well. They threw the ball last year because they had a great quarterback in Matt Corral. This is a different quarterback in Jackson Dart. Run the football well. That's what Lane does so well. He's going to set his offense based upon who the player is. It's not about plays. It's about players for him. And he changes based on who he has at quarterback and all the other spots. So we'll see if Jackson Dart plays a big factor in the game against LSU coming up this weekend. There you have it. This is the latest news going on around the conference. Coming up next, we're going to switch gears, talk a little bit about that Ole Miss Rebel team with AJ Finley, safety for the Ole Miss Rebels. That's coming up in just a second. Thanks again for making Locked On SEC your first listen every day. Want to remind you guys, from cringing at the pump to getting an eye-popping check at your favorite restaurant, inflation is hitting everybody where it hurts, and it really hurts. That's why we started using the Upside app. Upside, an incredible app for anyone who buys gas, groceries, or dines out. With every purchase, we earn cash back thanks to Upside. If you want to get started, just download the free Upside app. Use our promo code LOCKED, LOCKED. That'll get you $5 or more cash back on your first purchase of $10 or more. Claim an offer for whatever you're buying on Upside. You check in at the business, pay as usual with your credit or debit card, and get paid. Upside users are earning more than $1 million every week. That's probably why they have a 4.8 star rating on the App Store. Go download the free Upside app. Use our promo code LOCKED, LOCKED. Get $5 or more cash back on your first purchase of $10 or more. That's $5 or more cash back on your first purchase of $10 or more using the promo code LOCKED, LOCKED. Go download the Upside app today. Rolling along here on Locked On SEC, and we love catching up with guys who play around the conference. So joining us now is a guy who is having a very good season on an undefeated team. He is AJ Finley, safety for the Ole Miss Rebels. AJ, what's going on, man?
Nothing much. How are you, man?
Doing good. When I say the undefeated Ole Miss Rebels, does it sound weird to say that? I mean, you guys are rocking and rolling right now.
I mean, I don't think it's weird to say that because I kind of expected it going into the season, so not really.
Let's talk about it this past weekend. You guys, crazy, wild game against Auburn. When you talk about a team that has struggled this season, sometimes when a team is so desperate, they come out and they give their best performance. And Auburn certainly performed, I think, much better offensively than a lot of people were expecting. What I guess, kind of challenges were they presenting to you guys defensively?
I mean, they have a pretty good scheme offensively. They always come with something new every game, so I feel like that's the main thing that they do a very good job at.
You got a big interception early in this one, a diving interception, and went through the review, but looked like you were pretty confident you got your hand under it, right?
Yeah, I knew as soon as I caught the ball, I knew I caught that ball, so I got up through the ball and went to the sideline and celebrate.
What you guys played, you locked it down pretty well there in the fourth quarter, but what was going on? It looked like maybe a lot of missed tackles throughout the game. Is that kind of what was going on there defensively?
Yeah, there were definitely a lot of like misfits and stuff like that. Misfits, missed tackles. That was really the main thing that got them going. So I feel like we kind of beat ourselves on defense, really. So that's a good thing to look at, so we can correct ourselves going forward.
When you look at how you guys have performed so far through this season, I think the talk through the first few weeks, people were saying, "Whoa, we always know Ole Miss is going to be good offensively with Lane Kiffin and the system he runs." But I think a lot of people were impressed with this defense. Do you still kind of feel like this defense is a little bit underrated, and you guys aren't maybe getting the attention you deserve?
I mean, I definitely feel like we're underrated, but I feel like we haven't played up to our standard the past 2 weeks. So honestly, we got to get people to buy back into what we're doing.
Talking with AJ Finley, who is the leading tackler for the Ole Miss Rebels here, 7-0 heading into the LSU game here this coming week. When you look back on the last couple of weeks, I mean, that game against Kentucky just stands out to me. You guys, you brought it. I mean, with some big turnovers there late and getting after Will Levis. But it did seem like that home crowd is really kind of livened up here the last couple of weeks. What's it been like, at least playing in front of that home crowd for some of these big games the last couple of weeks?
I mean, it's definitely fun to play in front of an electric home crowd. So that they've definitely played a big part in the past 2 SEC games, and I'm looking forward to them making it even better with the coming SEC games.
I talked to some folks this offseason. They were saying Chris Partridge and, a lot of the newer defensive schemes were going to help this defense take it to another level. What's been a little bit different with the schemes and everything this year?
I feel like the play calling is a lot more aggressive, I feel like. And I feel like we just have not really, I don't want to say stuck in the same defense, but we have the ability to do some different things. And I feel like that's really the main thing.
Yeah, and it's so crazy because you guys lose so many different pieces. We talked to Sam Williams, this past offseason, and we were talking about all the guys that were either going pro and leaving, but Coach Kiffin did a great job of hitting up that transfer portal and bringing in all those new pieces. How, I guess, was it a little weird throughout spring ball and summer ball of so many new faces and getting to know everybody and trying to gel with all these new guys?
I wouldn't necessarily say it was weird. It was just getting to know each other. I feel like we did a really good job meshing, like right off the bat. I feel like the chemistry. I mean, the chemistry we had to work on, but I feel like the mesh, the togetherness of all of it was really good from the start.
Talk to me a little bit about this offense because it's, look, one of the best run games in the country, and we knew Zach Evans was very highly touted coming over from TCU, but man, this little 3-star recruit named Quinshawn Judkins has kind of taken the SEC and the country by storm. Did you see something from him through fall camp or whatever the summer and thinking like, man, this kid could really be something special?
I knew it from the jump. When I saw him running the ball, I knew from the jump that he was going to be a very special player. So I really wasn't surprised when he first started going off and stuff. So I knew it was coming.
Who's the hardest of the backfield of the running backs to tackle?
I feel like it's hard to say because they all bring something different to the table, so you really can't compare them. They all have things that they do really well, and I mean, I feel like we have almost the best backfield in the SEC.
More with AJ Finley in just a second, but our partners at Nissan have worked with us to create a new segment across the Locked On College Network titled Thrilling Moments, where we highlight the most exciting play from the SEC weekend game. This week's thrilling moment from the SEC came in Knoxville with the game tied at 49 with just 15 seconds remaining. Alabama kicker Will Reichard just missed a go-ahead 50-yard field goal. Enter Vol quarterback Hendon Hooker, who would hit Ramel Keaton for 18 yards before connecting with Brew McCoy in a dart for 27 yards to take his team down to the Alabama 23-yard line with 2 seconds remaining. That set up a 40-yard Chase McGrath game-winning field goal for the Vols and beat Alabama. This segment has been inspired by the thrilling new designs featured across Nissan's new lineup of vehicles. Pursue what thrills you in the all-new Frontier, Armada, or Pathfinder today. Available now at nissanusa.com. 448 yards for the Rebels, the 5th most rushing yards in school history in a single game, the most since 1962. The thing I'm so impressed with is it's not just the backs, but the offensive line. I mean, those guys are really, they came together quick and really have developed into, I think, one of the best, O-lines, not just the SEC, but the country this year.
Definitely. Those guys, I mean, they come to work every day. It's fun competing against them because they bring it every day. That's what you want to see every day. I feel like that's really the main thing. They come to compete and they get better every week.
You guys had a really good quarterback battle throughout the spring, throughout the fall, and it felt like even Lane was waiting. I mean, we got into the season and he still wouldn't name a starter. And we saw Jackson, we saw Luke. Ultimately, Jackson kind of wins this thing out, and it looks like the last couple of weeks, even he's starting to get more comfortable. That Vandy game throw for over 400 yards, it just makes you guys that much more dangerous, right? When you already have such a threat of a run game, but now if you can balance it with that pass game, it just makes you guys that much more dangerous, right?
It definitely does. I mean, when you look at an opposing offense, you look at the run game and look at the pass game. If they have both of them, then that's tough to handle. So definitely having the run game and Jackson getting more comfortable, that's definitely going to help this offense.
All right, as we look at the schedule, you've had the benefit of playing a lot of home games in front of the friendly confines of Vaught Hemingway, but now you got to go to LSU, you got to go to A&M, you come home for Bama, you go to Arkansas, and you finish with the Egg Bowl. This is the meat of the schedule, man, and we could celebrate being 7-0, but you really kind of have to take it one week, week by week, but how do you kind of keep yourself focused on just the task at hand?
I mean, I definitely this is the meat of the schedule, definitely. But I feel like I that's something I do. I just take it week by week. I try not to look forward to what we have going on, and the next game is the biggest game. So try not to look too far in the future and just stay in the moment.
What is Lane Kiffin like as a head coach? We've had different guys on from Ole Miss throughout the years, and it's so funny. Everybody is so different. Everybody's got a different story about him, and they say he's got the times where he lets his guard down and he can joke around, and other times he's a serious cat. What do you like most about Coach Kiffin?
I mean, he's different all the time. There's something new with him all the time. I mean, sometimes he's quiet, like you said. Sometimes he's joking around, but he can bring them both out. So. I mean, he's a fun coach to play for. He lets us not lets us do what we want, but like he wants us to be comfortable in what we're doing. So I feel like that's the biggest thing I like about him.
You're a senior, fourth-year guy here at Ole Miss, and it just seems like this thing has built up and gotten better and better each year. Obviously, last year with the 10-win season, you guys get to the Sugar Bowl, and now here you are undefeated. What has it been like? I mean, seeing this program improve just year by year by year since you've been there.
I mean, it's been amazing to be a part of. Seeing the growth from my freshman year to now, it's remarkable. It's really just been a growth of chemistry, and the culture of the team has just changed. It's been a drastic change in the culture. I feel like that's the biggest thing that happened.
All right, let's talk a little bit about you, AJ Finley. When you're not playing football, what are you doing? Are you Netflix guy? Are you video game guy? What are you doing?
Pretty much. I don't really do anything outside of football. I either watching film, sleeping, or hanging out. There's nothing really that I do.
You're not a movie TV guy?
Not really. Well, I'll watch a few football games, but that's about it.
Have you ever watched anything on Netflix recently?
Ooh, I think I did watch some. I watched the Redeem Team. That's the last thing I watched on Netflix. The Team USA documentary with Kobe, LeBron, and all that.
Okay, there we go.
I watch, yeah.
It's so funny. We got some guys who are big video game guys on the team. Is there one of those guys on the team right now that just a big gamer?
I mean, we got a lot of. I don't even know like one that's like the best, but we've got a lot of guys that game. I'm not really into games, but I might get back into it. So I don't know right now.
Well, you got the new NCAA football game is coming out next summer, but it's going to be right after
Yeah.
your college career is done. You won't be in the video game.
That's really sad because I've been looking forward to that since a little kid. Honestly, you play the game like I want to be in that game one day, but it's kind of cool that they're bringing it back out, and I'm glad they're doing it.
Well, you'll have Madden to worry about down the road. On that note, as you go into your senior year, obviously you want to have a really good year, but you not just for college, but you also do want to start looking towards the next level and doing the things you need to do. Have you heard anything in terms of just talking with people, talking with your coaches and stuff of just parts of your game that you felt like you needed to focus on and work on going into this last year of college?
I mean, it was something that I looked at the end of the season last year. Like I took a deep dive into what I felt like I needed to do to get to the next level. And really the main thing is just go out there and have fun and play like not think a lot. Like I feel like that's the biggest thing that I needed to work on. Just go out and play because I know that the ability that I have and I know what's going on. So I need to just go out and play and make plays.
All right, last thing. Give me a guy on defense that nobody's really talking about, but you think is an important piece of what helps this whole thing go.
I don't know if I can give you one guy, but I feel like the whole defensive line unit has been outstanding this year. They've taken tremendous steps, and I feel like if the defensive line's playing good, we have a really good chance to win a game. So really, the whole defensive line, I give props to those guys. They've been getting after it all year.
Yeah, look no further than that Kentucky game and forcing those fumbles on Will Levis that were so big.
Yeah.
He is AJ Finley, of course, leading safety of the Ole Miss Rebels. AJ, thanks so much for the time, man. Really appreciate it, and best of luck going into Death Valley this weekend, all right?
Thank you.
All right, that's going to do it for this edition of Locked On SEC. Or thanks again to AJ Finley for joining us. We'll be back tomorrow with our buddy Chris Marler talking all things SEC football right here on Locked On SEC. Thank you for making us your first listen every day. Now go make your second listen. Check out some of our other great podcasts on the Locked On Podcast Network covering your team every day. Just search Locked On, your favorite SEC school, and chances are you'll find a podcast that you are looking for. I'm Chris Gordy. This has been Locked On SEC. We'll talk to you guys tomorrow.